Martins, Associate Dean for Community Engagement and Sustainable Impact, NOVA SB, Professor Metka Tevkavcic, Dean of University of Ljubljana, School of Economics and Business, Dr. Tamim ELBASHA, Director of Quality Accreditation and Rankings, Audencia Business School, and Professor Mike Wood, Eduniversal Scientific Committee member for Oceania. They will share with us their experience and knowledge about measuring success. How do we access our performance outside of rankings, accreditations, and feedback forms? Welcome. You can start.
Can start? Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I'd like to thank you and congratulate Eduniversal for the event, under the current circumstances, and congratulations for that. So I'm going to present our NOVA SB's impact model and how has been this journey on measuring impact. And basically, I think the first question that, and I think that all universities have, how do you define impact? And there are endless definitions to define impact, and we also had that discussion until the moment we decide to adopt the one developed by the UN Development Group. So, which, as is presented, describes an impact as an effect on identifiable population groups produced directly or indirectly, intended or unintended by an individual or an organization. And it has a multidimensional approach: economic, social, cultural, environmental, technological, but always has with the lighthouse, which are the Sustainable Development Goals, and exactly the same at NOVA. So we have our mission. Our mission is to be a community dedicated to development of talent, like as a business school and as a school. And our impact is to address the challenges of humanity. What is our vision? Our vision clearly is to school for the better future, a future that is progressive, sustainable, inclusive, and peaceful. What is missing, and what we identified as it was missing, was an impact model that could embed the school strategy and empowers our community to reach the targets, to reach the SDGs since 2015. And that's the exercise that we've been gone through. So, but what is our strategy? And our strategy has this vision and this mission, and it has some transformational axis, okay? Which is the first one being the future-proofed skills for lifelong learners. Let's say we want to create a lifelong learning journey that delivers the skills of the future and the mindset to develop fulfilled individuals. So that's basically one of the first axes. And the second one is to be an ecosystem that accelerates the new ventures and fosters disruptive innovation, okay? And so we want to transform the mindset for the innovation as the road to progress. And as a third one, very much linked again to the SDGs, is to relevant knowledge and engagement for the SDGs. Okay, so through research and develop innovative solutions for a more sustainable society. And we have two growth pillars that reinforce these axes and this strategy. which is the recognition and internationalization and growth. And we want to position Nova SB as a global platform for talent development, where we want to attract international students, faculty, and international corporate partners. On the other side, as a second pillar, is to have our community. The community being our pillar, the pillar of our strategy, the staff, the organizational maturity, where we deploy the Nova way of life as a community of students, faculty, staff, alumni, and again, corporate partners. Very much focused on sustainable development and very much focused on co-creation of initiatives. So with our vision, with our mission, and under this context, we had to define. A second, see. What is showing on the screen? What is appearing on the screen? So we start developing our impact model. So there's a problem. I don't know which slide is on the screen. One second, sorry for that. Okay. There's a delay. Yeah. I think my screen is blocked. Could you please someone? Okay. Okay, so sorry for that. So as I said, we have a context, a vision, a mission. So we had to develop our impact model, how with through some levers, activity levers, with some agents, and in order to get outputs and the outcomes. And so what are as I mentioned, the activity levers? We recognize 4 activity levers in order to take up the sustainable development: knowledge dissemination, academic programs, community engagement ecosystem, as I mentioned, as part of our strategy, and organizational development. Who are our agents? It's our community of stakeholders. Is a driving force of our impact, where all of them have a role to play. Our metrics, and what is our language? Of course, our language, the sustainable development goals are our language of impact, and keeping in mind the principles as members of PRIME, UN Global Compact, and Sustainable Development Solution Network. We shall naturally integrate those principles in all our language of impact. How we measure, we define sustainable development as the economic development, okay, that is socially inclusive and environmental sustainable. And we also use SDGs as a metric, as a framework, but also the Global Report Initiative, or a TEFC framework. So when you talk about our levers, and I think my screen is, I need to refresh the page again. Okay. Okay. So what are our activity levers? Knowledge dissemination, as I said. How to provide, why to provide research and analysis in the fields of business and economics. And to offer to our community, the public and the private organizations, solutions to cutting edge thinking. Okay, and here we have some essentials, some examples at level of faculty and our community. So to prioritize efforts to SCG content in what they teach and in what they publish in the top journals. As a second lever, our academic programs. And our academic programs should offer rigorous education in management and economic fundamentally, but combined with leadership and technological skills. So we want to, by doing that, we are giving the tools to create leaders committed to what the world demands. And in terms of faculty, all the courses, the content of the courses to have can relate to the SDG understanding, to have SDG content. Third level, our community engagement. So we want to have a multi-stakeholder platform. We want to have multi-stakeholders initiatives in our campus or in our community. And when we talk about our community, very much focus on Cascais municipality, where we are located. And as you can see, there are several examples where the agents can take a very important role. And then through the fourth lever, through our organizational practices, to lead by example, to walk the talk, and to deliver organizational excellence in everything that we do, in everything that our community is doing. So these are our four activity levers in our impact model. Then we move to, I need to refresh the page again. The materialization of the whole process. And so sorry for that. Again, so the activity levers through our community enablers. And you can see here all the interaction among the different, the community with non-corporate partners, with the corporate partners, with the students working together with corporate partners. So we have all these activities producing an output, one or more outputs with specific activities that can be and should be quantified. So in terms, and here are some examples of the KPIs that we use. The quantity of research papers published, percentage of students engaging with the research sector, or, for example, job opportunities related to sustainability. In order then to have these outcomes, short, medium, and long-term outcomes to allow to reach our strategy, to reach our goals. And basically, at the end of the day, longer term, increased perception of Nova SB alumni promoting cross-sectoral partnership for sustainable development on campus. So they are our ambassadors, and they can present and they can present to the world what we are doing at Nova. And when you talk about the outputs and outcomes, then we are measuring our contribution to SDG. So everything is very much linked to the SDG, all activities, all the content that we teach, all the innovation should have a SDG focus, and we should measure we should measure and met that. So now looking to our the full picture. What is our impact model? So as you can see, we have the activity levers, knowledge dissemination, academic programs, community engagement, ecosystem, organizational development, okay? Working together through the community streams, and these are the community streams, staff, faculty, students, recent graduates, alumni, corporate and non-corporate, in order then to have the school for a better future. And we measure the impact we are creating, the impact that we are delivering to the world, and what we are contributing to the SDG agenda. So, again, and this is my last slide, what our impact model fosters a culture of impact in our school, in our organization, in our community. So, by providing an effective internal mapping of how each school area could contribute further to the SDG, and we are currently doing that in all different areas, in all different knowledge centers. We are promoting synergies and opportunities among the different members, among the community, among the different stakeholders, and we are investing in communication strategies that celebrates our role, our community's role to play, and our efforts for a better future. So this is our impact model. I would like to thank you again, and I'm available to answer some questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dear friends, do you have some questions? Don't hesitate to ask questions, to write it in a public chat. Okay, if there are no questions, let's invite our next speaker. Who would like to be next?
I can do it. This is
Great.
Metka speaking from Ljubljana. Okay, may I start? Do you hear me well?
Yes, we hear you perfectly.
Yeah, thank you. So, okay. We are just uploading our presentation according to the instructions we got. Here I'm together with my colleague, Secretary General, Mr. Ballon. And before it is ready, I would like to welcome you all on the behalf of the School of Economics and Business of the University of Ljubljana. This event is really something new for us in these challenging times, and what we used to watch only within the movies, now it's happening to us in our virtual reality. So this story with the avatars is really quite interesting also for all of us. And I know that we are already behind the schedule, in fact, and we still have 2 presenters. So for this reason, I decided not to go through the whole presentation, which I sent to Eduniversal, and it can be shared by you if you want to. And I will only focus till, is it ready?
No, it's still uploading.
It's still uploading, yeah. So I would like to just shortly, just briefly introduce you, our institution, and tell you what we are focusing in when we try to explain our impact and performance outside the rankings, accreditations, and feedback forms, as it's the title of this session. Today, in the morning, we just started a huge conference here in Slovenia, together with one of leading newspapers, Finance, in the field of business and economy, and the title was "The Economy on the Test of Flexibility and Resilience." And I said that it's not only economy and business which are on the test of flexibility and resilience, but also we, the business schools and the whole universities, are on the tests, and not only we, but the whole society, not only in Slovenia, but globally. And Till, is it ready? Still not? Okay, so I cannot go through the presentation, but I would like to, for those of you who maybe do not know us, I would like to briefly introduce our school. We are a part of the University of Ljubljana, which is the oldest, the biggest, and the best university in Slovenia. Our school was established in 1946, at the beginning only as the Faculty of Economics, and later we started to develop business programs, and nowadays we are a triple accredited business school, but we still have a very strong economics department which supports all our business programs. Altogether, we have 2 undergraduate programs, 18 graduate programs, 1 MBA and 1 PhD program. Our aim is that we influence the society, that we help the society, and therefore that we build our society nationally, regionally, and even broader. We have 4,600 students and 250 employees. Our mission is that we broaden horizons and build competencies for socially responsible management to master business and economic challenges. And I would like to emphasize our values, which are eagerness to learn, creativity, entrepreneurialism, integrity, respect, and inclusiveness. When we renewed our strategy for the last time, the students were those who insisted that we put also respect among our values. We did it so. And each year we publish an annual report in which now we demonstrate how we introduce respect among different stakeholders of our institution. We are the signatories of PRME. We participate in many activities which we find as responsible activities. Last week we started so-called European Ethics Bowl. This is the competition among the students from Germany, France, and Slovenia in solving different problems which include ethical issues. Well, I would like to tell you that we put a lot of efforts into defining our impact, as it can be measured through 7 impacts within the BSIS system. And maybe I will tell you which these impacts are. Not all of them, but for example, as the societal impact, we believe it's quite a good result in the field of gender equality, because 49% of our faculty members are female. Then we have a huge impact within the region, and we are the first Slovenian school on the Financial Times rankings. 46% of our graduates work in internationally oriented companies. And we created almost 40 startups by the academic community. of course, we can also focus on the research, teaching results, and so on. But I would also like to somehow point out some responsible actions, at least how we see them. For example, we built an eco school by completing a multi-million-euro innovation project aimed at generating energy savings, including a solar power plant. We introduced the eco reading badge in 2019. Then we signed the manifest of Slovenian promotion of reading. Then we put a lot of efforts into recognizing our retired members as valuable members of our community, because we believe that the school could not be developed without them, and we also believe that it will be our path of action also in the future. And maybe it's worth mentioning that in 2013, our school initiated the process of developing the Slovenian corporate integrity guidelines. Of course, I mentioned at the beginning that we would like to influence our society to develop it and somehow to build it. For this reason, we react whenever something is going on in our environment, and so also this is the reason that we reacted with a lot of contributions during the corona crisis. 5 of our professors are helping the Slovenian government with preparation of economic measures during the crisis and for the economic recovery. The CEPLU professors proposed to the government to launch travel vouchers to save tourism during the pandemic. Tourism is important. Industry in Slovenia. Then we have 3 major pillars of our activities. CEP Ljubljana University informs, CEP Ljubljana University helps, and CEP Ljubljana University contributes. So we also developed 43 different webinars related to current topics with over 30,000 participants and 70 speakers. So it's quite a lot for Slovenia with the population of 2 million. And we also developed a platform which is called CEPLU Personally, and it brings stories from our students facing social distancing. So we also developed a sustainable campus with an energy efficiency project. Then we promote healthy lifestyle. We have a green flag, which is an international environmental acknowledgement, and we were awarded by it in 2018. Then we also have, and we believe it's important, athlete-friendly education certificate, which was delivered to us by the Olympic Committee of Slovenia. And I believe, now I can see that our presentation is on. So I believe that we are among the schools which contribute really largely to the environment in all different situations, in facing with all different challenges. And so we really, I believe, will pass the test of our flexibility and resilience, as I mentioned in the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now I'm happy to invite Tamim for your speech, taking in mind that we will do a live stream awards at 4 o'clock. Thank you very much, Metka, for your speech.
All right, thank you very much. I'm just going to try to get my 5 slides on the screen somehow. I'm going to copy this and start. There we go. Hoping that it will be faster. Right, so I think it's loading up. It's just the wrong one. Right. I think while the slides are loading up, I hope they are behind me. Thank you very much for inviting me today. I thought the first thing is when I read the session is about them and us. I thought that was very intriguing because obviously how we measure our success outside of ranking, and obviously my colleagues has done a very fine job, my two previous colleagues, in explaining impact and how we do it. But I think it really brought up all the questions to me about them and us and market and non-market parts. And I thought it's in best case scenario, we have different measures of success, I've got the impression somehow. And in best case scenario, it is a sign of healthy adjustments between the environment and the organization. And in worst case scenario, it is a sign of mismatch between the environment and what we do, the organization itself. And I think latest ASSB report has estimated 13,000 business schools in the world. So obviously, from a student point of view or from a lecturer point of view, when they come to our schools and to be recruited, clearly accreditation, ranking, and so on and so forth are a sign of and a way of filtering this. So they are there to stay, and they are there to be important and continue to be important. Nevertheless, I thought when we talk about performance and success, we usually, as you probably do in your minutes, you try to measure that against your targets, against your objectives, and against your aim. I'm just going to try to see if there's anything on the screen. Unfortunately, not. So if we are to go back, what we've been hearing nowadays is a long and a strong discussion around what are business schools for. So what's the aim of business schools and that sort of discussion, which I think is very relevant to what we're talking about here. So what do we measure our success against? What are we aiming for? And I'd like to quote Michael Hay, who managed London Business School for a good time. And Michael Hay said that business schools should create three kind of values: academic value, personal value, and public and social value. And I think most of us here today in the business world, we would agree that this is the case, or this is what we try to aim for. But also we might agree together that business schools has mostly skewed the attention towards academic value, which is about the research and dissemination of their own. And a lot of our metrics, our work is based on that. I think I'm getting the slides finally. And based on this, how we can, if we agree on this assumption that business schools should aim for personal value, to create academic value, and also to create public and social value. If we agree on this assumption, how could we increase or balance these three values in order to measure, to go back to the question, to measure our success? And I'd like to talk about, or I'd like to see us, and that is a conversation I think we have together, is that business schools, whatever their aim is, whatever our mission is, we aim to equip learners and participants with the skills for the future. And based on that, so going back to the individual level and how we measure our success at the individual level of the individual learner, going into the future, I think we're always having these reports. So DHL and their scenario, they have a different type of words. PwC did also different kind of future work, and future work is a hot topic, and everybody wants to project the future work. But I think despite the differences and the major differences of these projection and the ambiguity in this projection, I hope that we can agree there are four main areas where this future is heading towards, or at least where they're coming in all these scenarios. So I would like to argue that the first area, that whatever the future holds, we have something about humanity that we need to teach and to talk about to our students and our learners. Moving beyond capitalism is an important topic. Finding purpose for the jobs, finding working with others and how to work with others. There's something about the environment. The other pillar is the environment and how we look after the environment and protecting our planet for us and for future generation. And also there's something about technology in this future. So we talk about automation, artificial intelligence, the availability of data, information overload, the fake news, and all these topics. And finally, we talk about the pace of change. So the pace of change is increasing, and therefore we're unable to see clearly or as easy as before. So if we agree that the future holds whatever it holds, and it's very hard to predict, but there are four pillars, which is technology, humanity, and certainly an environment. I would like equally to argue that there are certain competencies that they are attached to these four pillars. So the UN report by Prof. has defined core values, competencies. Their International Bureau of Education defined that. And there are some recently OECD talked about the learning campus. So going back to the individual level, I think in terms of technology, we would agree, I hope, that all our graduates need to learn how to manage data, how to code, how to understand information, in terms of humanity, how to build communities, how to lead, how to read the environment in terms of social environment. And then in terms of uncertainty, we need to teach or to equip our students to be resilient, to have problem solving, and to have adaptability. Obviously, all these are long-term competencies that we could argue for and we could aim for. But then behind this, one should not forget also the immediate technical skills that are required and needed. So for a graduate to get a job tomorrow, they would definitely need some technical hard skills. For example, in accounting, they need to know how to structure a balance sheet. In strategy, they need to know the basic tools and methodology to do external analysis, internal analysis, and then do some recommendations. So what are we describing here, as far as I can tell, is that we can measure our success through at the individual level of the learner, in addition to what my colleagues presented as a very important impact measures and frameworks, is also to go back to the individuals and say, okay, how well do we equip our students with the future skills? And in terms of what I presented, I would argue this is what we talk about in multidisciplinary applied approach to learning and teaching. So I think this is going back to the question, what are the success factors that we can measure? So if we go back to what we would like to measure, how we can put forward our success, knowing that ranking and accreditation are there to stay, knowing that we cannot do without them, knowing that we have to have two systems going on. One is short term, which is today, and the ranking next year and how that's going to happen. And the other one is long term, to measure our success. In relation to the strategy, and we talked about the strategy of the school and how that happens, I would argue that we need to find ways to measure how well our multidisciplinarity is propagated through the programs or through the courses. And I'll try to be very short, aware of time. For example, we've been working with different, we've been building programs at Audencia where we have School of Engineers, the School of Architect, and the School of Design with the business school, creating programs around these topics. So there will be four different disciplines coming together to create these programs. And I think nowadays we're going to turn more into the education science and try to see how we can measure that further and how we can how we can measure that not only at the program level, but also how the students, these students as following these programs, are equipped with multidisciplinary approach. And this is how I would argue we could measure our success nowadays, and this is how we're trying to attract it at Audencia. I'm sorry about the slides. There were no way we could upload them. I'm having a chat at the same time with the staff. I'm more than happy to discuss them later. Thank you very much, and if there are any questions now or later, I'm more than happy to hear them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tamim, for your speech. Do you have some questions? Let's applause Tamim. Unfortunately, Mike Wood couldn't be with us today, but we will watch now his video presentation. Just give us a few seconds. Let's applause again to all our speakers. Thank you very much for sharing your experience and being today with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
How to measure performance outside of rankings, accreditation and feedback forms. Let's begin with the basics. What do you wish your school to be known for? It helps to imagine the business school as a raft, not quite the sophisticated Noah's Ark, but a raft floating on an ocean. The raft is subject to constant movement, some predictable, some unexpected, potentially dangerous, potentially rewarding. Survival. How to measure performance outside of rankings, accreditation and feedback forms. Let's begin with the basics. What do you wish your school to be known for? It helps to imagine the business school as a raft, not quite the sophisticated Noah's Ark, but a raft floating on an ocean. The raft is subject to constant movement, some predictable, some unexpected, potentially dangerous, potentially rewarding. Survival depends on the strength of the raft, the knowledge of the sea and its moods, the navigation skills of the crew. Let's start with the raft and look at it a little more closely. What's the raft made of? What's its construction? How is it propelled? How strong are the materials? And what are the supporting systems like? For example, its IT and communication and its capacity to repair itself. How to measure performance. Before building the raft, one's got to measure the right things. The strength and quality of the base. The availability and skills of the sailors. The reliability and availability of data about the site and who is to be using the raft. There's no room for fake data. So in order to measure performance, it's important for the business school to prepare the foundation, to prepare the base. Or it needs to be able to repair and renew the base. And the process of repair and renewal can begin in a business school context with knowledge. Knowledge of the assets, knowledge about the faculty and professional staff, two critical assets. And how are they to be measured? They have to be measured in the context of competition, but we'll come to that. The professional staff and the faculty provide the large part of the infrastructure. This infrastructure is useful for discerning, gathering, analysing, and transmitting knowledge. I call this infrastructure the intelligence infrastructure. So the business school, in repairing, renewing its base, needs to be able to measure the right things. We've talked about them. The measurement, I think, has to begin with the capacity to formulate a strategy that can be used in its operational dimension for assembling and using the infrastructure intelligence. To do this as the seas around the business school change. For example, the components of the strategy need to include allies who will support you or come to your aid. Do you know the allies with whom you can build alliances? Perhaps as part of your renewal and reinvigoration of the school. The building of alliances with the right partners, marrying up and not marrying down, arranging a good marriage, will provide an important base for measuring performance. Others will measure your performance by the quality of the company you keep. The strategy as well needs to include a sense of priorities about long and short-term achievements. Which are the ones you want to get done quickly? Some people call this low-hanging fruit. But some of this fruit has got to be able to support the long-term achievements that take more work, perhaps more alliances, changes to the intelligence infrastructure, so that the infrastructure includes contemporary methods of transmitting, gathering, and discerning knowledge. This is related to the initial question I began with about what's the purpose of the business school? What do you wish it to be known for? To ride on the wave of international success? COVID has told us that can be challenging. Or is it to be one of service predominantly, either service to a local community, a national or an international community of scholarship and of achievement? So just let me conclude with a few guiding questions. Prior to measurement of performance, audit the base. Is the base flexible or rigid? How can it get elements of both? Is it able to withstand pressure? That is the intelligence infrastructure able to withstand pressure? Do the systems have sufficient intelligence or access to it to survive and prosper? I suggest if you are able to deal with those questions, a high reputation will follow.
And now we are
and you can
pleased to
enjoy
invite
looking
you to the
at the
awards hall for our exciting award ceremony, Top 3 Business Schools in 9 geographical zones. So let's see each other at the awards hall. See you.